Welcome to Blooming Dandelion, where we explore healing, growing, and evolving to live a balanced and fulfilling life. I'm your host, Andrea Rivera Cazul, and each week we'll dive into practical tips, inspiring stories, and expert advice to help you bloom. Let's get started.
Hi everyone, this is episode 3. I'm still baffled. I am still trying to breathe through it really is just kind of crazy how everything has gone by. I'm just really proud of the work that I've been doing. I'm really, really, really proud that I've officially released Blooming Dandelion. And I know that it's only 3 episodes in. I know that there's still so much growth and learning to do, but the fact that I'm even recording this on camera, this is the first one. Oh my gosh. I don't know why I'm so nervous. I feel like I'm very comfortable in front of the camera. I record every single thing for TikTok, for anything else. But for podcast or long form videos, it's daunting to me. I don't know why. But anyways, I'm so glad that y'all are here. I'm so glad and grateful for anyone that tuned in and listened to our first episode. We are officially on Spotify, on so many other platforms. Please go on the link on my profile, Blooming Dandelion Podcast on Instagram. And that's mostly where you'll get up-to-date information from our podcast and just positivity in the meantime, right? We're going to be giving out new episodes every single week on Sunday. That is at least my goal. I'm hoping that it's every week, and if not, I'm going to let you know. That is my promise to you, okay? That is my promise to you. No, but seriously, I want to make sure that I stay consistent with myself. I stay consistent with y'all. Healing is about consistency. Self-love is about consistency. Anything that we want to change, anything that we want to grow on, anything that we want to learn, everything all comes down to consistency. It's not about how badly you want it. It's not about how much you want to change. It's truly being consistent. How can you do this day by day? And truly, consistency comes hand in hand with what we're going to talk about today, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. Y'all. Dandelions, I want y'all to know that we are going to start off with our bloom in soil. I was trying to think really hard about what my bloom in soil was this week. And truly, my bloom this week was probably seeing my growth at the gym, seeing the growth that I've had and being able to progress in weight class. And that sounds super fancy terms, but I just essentially lifted a higher weight volume that I was lifting before. That's super proud. And also, I went on live. That's also kind of, a bloom for me as well, being comfortable on live that I haven't been able to before. I'm really trying to get outside of my comfort zone. I'm trying to really showcase my strengths because I don't know why I try to hide them. Fear of judgment, fear of not being accepted, I guess. And that all is from years and years and years of, not fitting in, being in the outside crowd. There's so many things we could continue to dissect, and I would love to have a professional come onto the show. If you are a professional and would love to, spit your game, and that sounded so weird. No, but if you are a professional and you want to come on the show, because I think that it's important to have also professionals that dedicate their lives and their, their abilities to helping us out and dissecting our traumas, our strengths, and all that stuff. So if you're a social worker or whatever, I think that there's a unique experience and conversation there. So I apologize. I keep breaking, it's not that I'm breaking character, it's just that I'm having fun with y'all. This podcast is all about, I mean, I'm literally in sweatpants. I'm wearing a velour, a pink or reddish velour suit. Very old school. And I just want it to feel cozy. I want this podcast to feel like a warm hug. I want it to feel like we are a group of friends sitting on a couch together in the same living room, comfortable enough to just sit in silence sometimes and be on our phones. That's how comfortable I want this podcast to be. And so I hope that this is comfortable enough to drive to work and listen to this, or listen to it while you're working out and feel empowered through your workout. There's so many different ways, and I really hope that, you take this and apply different aspects to your growth, to your learning, whatever you are listening this to, whatever it is that you need to take away from this podcast. I hope that it's just something that it grows to. I just went on a huge tangent on my blooming. I'm so sorry, but that was my blooming, okay? It was the fact that, wow. It was the fact that, someone also on live was able to say, gave me kudos. They gave me kudos. They essentially said, you probably have a better cardiovascular system than me, because I was on the elliptical. And it made me realize that a year ago, I could not go on the elliptical and even last 5 minutes. And it's just a testament to staying consistent. And it does not matter what weight you are. It does not matter what the scale says. It just matters that you showed up for yourself, that you stayed consistent. Because that consistency of the whole year, even though the scale has moved up and down, and I am relatively at the same weight, I am staying longer on the elliptical. I have gained more resistance. So I hope that that's, something that you can see as like a bloom. Because it is a bloom for me. And not everyone's blooms are, meant to be blooms for you. But a soil for me, let's think about a soil. A soil for me, honestly, probably has been the fact that I have been struggling so much with resting. I have been struggling so much with overthinking, with having to go to sleep and shut down my mind. And I've had this conversation with my doctor for some time now. This has been ongoing and truly just consuming my thoughts. I think it's stress from work. It's stress from daily life. I'm also, I think between our conversations and her and I and all that stuff, we're seeing, continuing patterns of anxiety and depression. And this is where I'm going to advocate to always, always, always continue to have these conversations with your doctors. Always bring up things that concern you that maybe weren't happening 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, 3 months ago, because even though I've always had insomnia, it's never been to this state. And so, within the past month, I've been on some medication, and I don't feel like it's helped, but I also know that it takes a while for medication to really kick in and help. But it's still kind of really affecting me. It's still affecting my sleep. It's still affecting just my rest, and therefore it's impacting when I wake up. And then it turns into a whole mind frame game of, oh, I didn't get some sleep last night. So then I overthought last night all about the work week and the work schedule. And then because I overthought and was overthinking all night and couldn't sleep for 3 hours and then fell asleep, I couldn't wake up for my alarm, which my alarm is set up so that I have healthy boundaries and healthy, goals for myself so that I can wake up in the morning and go to the gym. And once I go to the gym, I can have my routine set up because I thrive on routine and I do all of these things. And it's literally never ending. It's an ongoing roller coaster of emotions, and I can never stop. I can never stop the time loop. I can never stop me from overthinking, and it's never ending. So that is my soil. I'm not going to keep digging deeper on that because I could unravel. I could unravel so much. But we're not going to, okay? We are not going to. Today's topic, we are getting into today's topic because I'm really excited. I'm always excited. Have you met me? Have you met me? We are getting into, I have a whole production here. I wish you could see first the hot mess of my little studio that I've created because I don't have a studio. So I have created somewhat of a makeshift studio, but it makes sense in my brain. But anyways, I'm getting off track. I really hope that y'all find me entertaining because I really like being here. But the oh my goodness. The topic that we have today is, why are you slacking, babe? Why are you slacking, Dandelion? That's a big one. Why are you slacking? We are always telling ourselves that we have to go, 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 go. And then there comes a time that the wall hits. And we are in the mind game of, I don't want to. I don't want to do it. I can't do it. And so the avalanche of thought process starts. And when we start slacking, it really is trying our hardest where we need to start picking ourselves up, right? We need to try our hardest to pick ourselves up because it's a sign that we might be overworked, that we might be tired, that we might be stressed, that we might be over worrying. There might be so many different signs that are impacting our mental health, our ways to show up for ourselves, and the way that we can show up for ourselves is making sure that we show up for ourselves, is putting ourselves first. But how do we do that? How do we do that when we are responsible for our families? How do we do that when we are our family's caretakers? How do we do that when we have too many responsibilities? How do we do that when we essentially, at the end of the day, feel guilty for saying, I come first? That is a hard pill to swallow. It is so difficult to sit with those feelings, to say, I'm stressed, I'm overwhelmed, I have all of these XYZ things on my to-do list, and I can't. I don't want to. I emotionally and mentally don't have the energy, the capacity to show up for anyone, yet alone myself. So essentially, we end up putting our needs, our joys, our mental health, all in the back corner. That's all put in the closet. It's put away in a nice little box, and we forget about it. It's literally like the pair of shoes that you buy that you just forget that you bought. And then you're like surprised. You're like, oh, that was there? Great. And you forget about it so long that sometimes It doesn't do you any good to forget about it. Sometimes you gotta find the box, dust it off, and fine tune any of the things that you need to get done. So, when you are feeling like you are slacking, when you are feeling like you are letting go, when you are feeling like I don't have the time to do anything for myself, yet alone, be able to show up for ourselves, first of all, you have to. You have to put yourself first, because there will be a level of burnout at the end of the day that will get to a point of being irreversible. And getting to that point of burnout is unnecessary. It's unnecessary, it's unhealthy, and it's time that as women, as folks that are becoming adults, that are trying to really gauge what it is that they want to get out of their health journey, their self-love journey, and who they want to become essentially and grow into and evolve into, you have to learn what things you have to put on your to-do list. So I want to go through kind of some steps or some good things to have on your to-do list, or a good memory to have, and remind yourselves of what you can do and practice. So, number one, you need to show up for yourself. You need to show up for yourself, and the ways that you can show up for yourself is, number one, forgiveness is so important. And you might think about forgiveness in the sense of showing up for yourself, and you might be thinking like, Andy, what the heck are you talking about forgiveness? Why are you even bringing that up? I'm bringing that up because one of the things that I just told you about, right, is that we literally think about how can we put ourselves first, and the three things that I talked to you about was we have too many responsibilities. We're a caretaker. We take care of our family and children. Number three is that we feel guilty. We end up feeling guilty. Forgiveness for yourself. Forgiveness for yourself is so important. Forgiveness for others is also important. And forgiveness just means to let go of the anger. It doesn't mean you'll forget. It doesn't mean that you will essentially want them to be a part of your life, or that you're over a situation, but you need to release the anger from the situation. Whatever the situation may be that is restraining you and holding you back, you have to forgive and think about what it is that is holding you back at that moment. You need to acknowledge the situation that you're in. Acknowledge what's going on. So right now, my soil is, I have to acknowledge that I have been not sleeping well. I have to acknowledge that it's putting me in a slump. I have to acknowledge that I am waking up tired, cranky. I have to acknowledge all of those things. And then the next step after acknowledging that is that I identify the root of it. So what is the root of the cause? I just said, I have been experiencing stress. I have a history of anxiety and depression. Combining all those three things, I know for sure that they are all speaking to each other in my brain in the middle of the night. So I'm identifying those root causes. I can then address it, and the way that I address it is obviously going to a doctor and getting help. At the same time, I am choosing things that can help me with my stress, which are books. I read books. I make sure that I have audiobooks as well. If I don't want to read, I have audiobooks. I make sure that I have, time outside in the sunlight, or even just outside at night, so that I can spend time in the outdoors. I try to make time with friends. I try to make time that I can take care of myself. The next one is letting go. Letting go of things you can't control. And for me, I can't control my anxiety or depression. I can have tools in my toolbox that can help me address those moments of anxiety, those moments of depression, or, the signs of when I'm getting mentally burnt out or when I'm heading into a slump. I know when those things are going to happen. And then finally, I can have compassion with myself. And all of these things also can work for somebody else, another loved one that you might have, right? Because not only might you be in a slump, your daughter, your niece, your son, whoever you might have a loved one might be going in a slump, and you might be saying, what do I do to help them out? These are great ways for you to practice with them, for you to practice reflection with them. They need to see it from you. They need to see that it's okay for them to do these steps. The next part is self-care, your needs, and your joy. Those three things. Those three things always get tangled into each other and get confused. Your self-care and your needs are very much tied in between each other. Your self-care are almost, in fact, your needs, because self-care has to be work that you put into yourself, and self-care does not always mean that it's going to be pedicures and a face mask and getting my hair done. It does not always mean that. Self-care sometimes also means that you're going to sit and journal and reflect on traumatic moments. It's going to hurt. It might make you cry. Self-care means that you have to face your haunting moments. Like, there's a lot that you'll have to face when it means self-care. Your needs will then fall into, what are your needs right now? Well, you need to sleep. You need to make sure that you're hydrated. Right now, we're going through a major heat wave in the US, at least. So hydration, sleep. Are you eating well? If you're not eating well, get to the root cause. Why are you not eating well? Is it a financial burden right now? And if it is, that's okay too. We all go through it. And if you can only afford fast food, then you are the only one that knows that. Don't let anyone criticize you. You know what your budget is, but also look through what your needs are and see what it is that it is affecting you, right? And then your joy. Your joy has to come from things that make you happy, hence the joy. And those three things usually get jumbled up in each other, but your joy should be hobbies that truly make you happy. And if you haven't found something that has made you happy, or you are still trying to figure out what that could be, that's okay. It is okay to still not know what might make you happy. I have been trying to figure out things that I love. I did my makeup on live. I love doing my makeup, and I could sit in front of the mirror and do my makeup 3-5 times a day if it weren't for every layer of skin peeling off of my face. But there are other people that would hate that, and that's okay. I also love to read. I know that reading is one of my passions. I love to read new books that are all about self-care and that I can bring into, this podcast and bring to my followers and can bring into work as well. I love to continue my learning that way. I also know that one of my joys as a child was skating. So I started rollerblading again. So there's so many different aspects that you can heal your inner child, that you can heal and grow from, anything that you're going through and get out of your slump. But those three things, make a list of what self-care means to you. What are your needs? And then what's the joy that you want to get out of a hobby, or what's a joy that you may need? And I think that that's where you'll see the benefit in differences that you need to get out of things. The next part that I want to talk about is and not even next part, but truly, even after, listing out your self-care needs, joy, and all that stuff, you also need to look at your schedule. And I know you may be saying, a schedule, I don't know. And I know that maybe I have some parents on here, maybe I have folks that already have a schedule, but if you are a person that does not have a schedule, get on the wave of a schedule. You need it. You need it. I know you need it, because I just was on live, and the same person that, gave me the kudos for the cardiovascular thing, she told me that she felt like she was thrown into adulthood, and she's 18 and she doesn't know what she's doing. And if there was anything that I could tell my 18-year-old self, it would be set a schedule. Set a schedule, for God's sakes. Andrea, like, what are you doing? Set a schedule. I mean, our lives, at least mine, my life was literally planned from morning till afternoon, every single day. And I know many of us probably had the same thing. We had so many extracurricular activities at school. We had things to do outside of school. We had so many things. And every day you had a schedule. Every day you knew what you were doing. Every single day. And you come into adulthood, I can't speak. You come into adulthood and it's a free-for-all. It is a free-for-all and you don't know what you're doing. Schedule your days, for God's sakes. And I say that not to banter at you or not to, sass you out. I say that because I have to remind myself constantly that I need to schedule my own days out. But schedule your days, because it'll make your life so much easier when you get to see everything panned out. What days will you be working? When do you have meetings? Do you have a shift in the afternoon? Do you have 2 jobs? Do you have 3 jobs? Is that overloading you and you are stressed out because of that? All of that will help you out break down the root and causes of your slump and why you are slacking. So schedule your time out, because then with your routine, you can start to see and schedule in your self-care, right? So your self-care, like I mentioned before, your self-care sometimes will not be pretty. Your self-care might mean that you are sitting here writing a letter to your younger self. Your self-care routine might mean that it's a therapy session. And it might not be a good therapy session, or it might be a great therapy session. But that is your self-care, and it's necessary, and you need it. Your self-care also might mean rest. And the 3 things that I would lump into self-care would be rest, movement, and mindfulness. Those are the 3 things that you should have always in mind. So if you need to write that down, take out a sticky note, put it down, write it in your journal right now, if you have to. But your self-care should include rest, movement, and mindfulness. Okay? All right. So I can't voice that enough. You need to, even in moments that you are literally going on a journey of health and working out, you need to rest. Do not work out every day. And I say that to myself too. I'm looking at myself in the camera. You need to rest. Okay? You need to rest. Movement is necessary, but you need the rest. Resting, you need at least 8 hours of sleep. I know that there are studies out there that might say that we don't, but you know your body. If your body is requesting for you to sleep more and you can sleep more, sleep. Don't get annoyed because the alarm went off and you have to go to the gym. The gym will still be there. I have been having that dialogue with myself and saying, why wake up frustrated when you can just say, you know what? Today, I'm going to shut off the alarm, sleep in another hour, hour and a half, and I'll go to the gym later. Change your mindset. Change the narrative. It is so consuming and frustrating when we get to a point that we're like, I can't, I gotta, and I take a breath. Take a breath, because it is okay for us to take a moment and just say, you know what? You are right. We need to take a breather. And mindfulness, there are so many different people that have mindfulness techniques. There are so many moments that you can look it up on TikTok, Instagram, so many practical moments that you can do mindfulness practices and all that stuff. And I'm sure that at some point we will also be posting mindfulness techniques on here. And it's important that you just sit with your thoughts. And I know that's tough. I know that for us that have gone through traumatic, stressful, and consuming moments, our minds, sometimes our hearts too, but our minds are a scary place sometimes when we take a breather and there's no music and there's no one around us and there's nothing but us. It's scary. And I get emotional still because it was one of those things that I still am trying to get over, because I constantly feel like I either need to be on my phone and like distracting myself, or hanging out with friends, or being with my partner. But sometimes it's okay to not, to just be. And, you know, the ways that I've been being able to do that is my mindfulness moments have been at the pool. So I've been forcing myself to go to the pool by myself this summer and just be in the water and listen to the wind, listen to the water, feel the water. And it has helped me a lot. And it's one of the things that I still have to work on. I still get emotional about it. But yeah, one of the next things is asking for help. Asking for help. Could you think about that? We all need a little help sometimes. We all need a little help from our friends. We all need a little help from our family. We all need a little help from our loved ones, whoever family means to you, whatever. If it's chosen family, if it's family, blood family, we all need help. You can't do life by yourself. And I hope that you're not doing life by yourself. So I hope that you can reach out for help with whoever. And if you don't, that you can establish a community that can be there for you so that you can, again, get out of the slump. And let's get out of slacking, because it's okay to ask for help. Sometimes we are overthinking and we just need a little bit of a push to get out of that slump. And that's what I needed to get through to this podcast, because if not, I would have probably still been overthinking and probably not done a recording and not sat down in front of the camera, and literally the loop continues. The loop is never ending. I also think it's super important taking breaks. Taking breaks, digital breaks, phone breaks, iPad breaks, computer breaks, all of it. You need a break. Sometimes consuming so much of the same stuff, especially, you know, we are in high times of conflict right now, and it's dreadful to see so much imagery coming out of Gaza, Palestine. And I know that's tough because I am impacted every single day that I see that stuff. And I can't imagine people who are going through that. But you can take breaks and still be an empathetic person. You can take breaks and still be a DEI practitioner. You can take breaks and still be a good human being. I promise it is okay. The next one, I love, and I wish that I could, put it on my forehead so everyone can see it. No is a full sentence. Did you hear that? I said, no is a full sentence. We need to establish better boundaries. And if you don't want to do something, it is hella okay for you to say, N-O, no. Okay? Let's repeat it together out loud. You're going to say, no. Okay, awesome. I really hope that we had like a Dora the Explorer moment right there of like, Boots, what's in my backpack? I haven't seen any of those cartoons in a really long time. But yes, speak up. Speak up when something is uncomfortable and you don't like it. Like, damn it. You don't have to be rude about it, but you can say, hey, that made me uncomfortable. No. Or you don't even have to go through it. No. I don't want to discuss. No. No. That's it. It's okay to say no. And if you're the bad guy in their story, too fucking bad. That's it. To get out of a slump as well, you need to set goals. To stay consistent, like I said earlier on when we started the podcast, you need to stay consistent in any path of healing, in any path of growth, in any type of path. You need goals. So why not set SMART goals? And SMART goals is a whole acronym. SMART, S for specific, M measurable, A attainable, R relevant, T timely. SMART goals. Remember that. SMART goals. You have to have goals that are going to be realistic. You have to have goals that aren't going to be out into the universe, right? Let's say, for instance, I was talking about this earlier on TikTok. And essentially what I was saying is that let's say that I want to achieve in my health journey, I want to lose 10 pounds in a week. Fantastic. I don't know that that would be possible. I know for a fact that that's not possible. How about our goal this week is that I can at least go to the gym 3 times this week, and my intake of water is double what I had last week. And maybe what I had last week was only 3 bottles of water. Can I do 6 bottles of water? Those are more measurable goals. And you can remind yourself, and you can be more timely with them, and you can write them out. And you can also link your goals to your core values, right? Maybe your goals have to do with humanitarian rights. Maybe your goals mean that they're linked to a job. Maybe they're linked to anything else. You have to sit with yourself and think about what goals that you want to achieve. I sat down 3 months ago after, I want to say it was 3 months ago, after I was interviewed on Big Girl, Big World. Shout out to Aaliyah, Amber, and Jaren. I love them. Shout out to them if you have not heard their podcast. But after being interviewed by them, I sat down and I said, why haven't I gone back to podcasting? I did it when I was back in Iowa. I loved it. I did 4 episodes, I believe. And then it stopped. It just stopped. And I know the reasons. I'm not going to discuss that today. You'll keep on waiting for more. I'll discuss that later on with some special guests. But I thought about that and I was just like, wow, I need to sit down with myself and get out of my slump. Because I knew that I was in a slump, even though I was probably posting every day and being consistent with myself and being consistent with other parts. I knew that I was in a slump creatively in the parts that I really wanted to be in. Because I kept on being like, oh, I'll get there someday. Oh, I'll do it someday. Why someday, Andrea? Why someday? Why not sit with yourself and create a plan? And from that day forward, I started researching. I researched every day. I researched every platform. I researched different podcasts, different people, different Instagrams. I researched so many things to see what fit with me. What did I want my brand to look like? I did the work and I set a timeline for myself and I said, this podcast will be released on this date. And I stuck to it. It was important for me. It was important to set those core values into my goals. Journaling. You have to journal about your goals. You have to journal about your journey so that way you can stay consistent. I know it feels like it might be dumb or you just don't know how to do it. Whether you want to do a digital journal or write it down, just do something that you can look back on so you can see your growth. Because I look back at pictures, videos, or anything like that, and I see myself and I'm like, wow, this is not the same person that I was before. And I'm proud. I see it and I see hurt, I see pain, but I'm also proud. I'm proud of the person that I've become. I'm proud of the work that I'm doing. And I hope that when you see yourself, you can see that you can be proud of yourself as well. I hope that you also, to get out of your slump, that you can see those moments and look at your achievements and accomplishments, that you can cheer yourself on, because it's okay to be your own cheerleader. Okay? It's okay, because I know that you have someone somewhere that's cheering you on, even if it's one person. And I always say that. My videos, my posts, and all that stuff, even if it reaches one person, even if it changes one person's life, then I did my job. I did, and it's not even a job. I just did my duty. I did what I wanted to. And that's okay. Your vulnerability, and that was a big word apparently for Andy. Vulnerability. Your vulnerability is your superpower. Your authenticity is your superpower. And if you are feeling that your slacking and your slump is making you slump because you're afraid of being authentic and vulnerable, let me tell you something. We connect more when we see ourselves in each other than when you portray someone that you're not. I connect more with someone that has similar stories than me, similar struggles than me, when we express the same emotions, when they are humble enough to say, I made a mistake. And it's okay to make mistakes, and I'm going to learn from my mistakes, and I'm growing from them. It's about being humble, and it's a sense of a superpower that not a lot of people have. You think that they do, but not a lot of people have. A lot of people hide behind a mask, and it's scary. It's scary, and I know that putting yourself out there can be daunting, but I promise that it's worth it. I think to close, final thoughts of why are you slacking, babe, is why are you letting what other people may think about you, or the fear that others are thinking about you, let that stop you from your greatness? Let's sit with that real quick. Why are you waiting for Sally from high school that you haven't talked to dictate your next move? Why are you concerned for Joe Schmo from the corner that you haven't seen in I don't know how long to have a comment about what you're doing with your life or what project you're on now? Do not let that affect the decision of having a goal, of having a plan, of having a business, of having anything. You get to dictate what it is that you want in your life and what it is that you want to evolve into and grow into. So do not let anyone, whatever they say or think, even if there is no thought or comment. It is what matters here, honestly, is whatever you think of yourself. And you need to think highly of yourself, which is why we need to put into motion the self-care, your needs, and your joy first. Okay? I think this week I went to see Inside Out 2, which I loved the first one, so I needed to watch the second one. And I got so emotional, and you have to watch it. I'm not going to spill so much of what was, portrayed in the movie, but the underlying thought continued of obviously like Riley being not a grown up, but a teenager. And it's the fear of what others might think. It's the fear of not being good enough. And that makes me sad because I know I go through that sometimes too. But I think when we can think about our core values, what makes us good people, what makes us nice and kind, and how do I show up for myself? How do I show up for my kids? How do I show up for my nieces, nephews? How do I show up for my loved ones? How do I show up for my partner? When you look at all those things and everyone has something nice to say about you and kind and empowering, why can't you see that in yourself? Okay? So why are you slacking, babe? Okay? Dandelion, it's time to bloom. It is time to bloom. And I hope that with all of these things that we discussed, that you remember that you are worth so much. And that with this, you can get out of the slump. And you can say, we do not need to slack anymore, okay? All right? I love y'all so much. We're going to continue blooming. And I hope that you continue to listen to our podcast here. And please leave us a little like, a follow, and let us know what you think down below. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Blooming Dandelion. I hope y'all had a great time listening, and I hope you have an amazing day, whether you're working out, heading to work, going to sleep, trying to just listen to something while you're doing dinner or dishes or whatever. But remember that we're going to continue blooming. Love you.
Thanks for tuning in to Blooming Dandelion. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Follow us on social media on Instagram at Blooming Dandelion Podcast for more inspiration. And remember to keep on blooming. See you next time, dandelions.